The news that my husband was celebrating the birth of a son reached me just as we were sharing wedding wine in our bridal chamber. A servant rushed in, unable to contain her excitement. "Master, congratulations. Chun, she has given birth to a son." Silence fell. I let go of my cup, and wine spilled onto the floor. Meng Siwei stormed into the birthing room in a rage. He lifted the newborn, as if preparing to hurl him to the ground. "Insolent maid. You are but a concubine. How dare you give birth without the lady's permission?" My mother-in-law hurried to persuade me. "He is your husband's flesh and blood. Now that he's been born, won't you grant him some kind of status?" All eyes turned to me. Everyone was waiting for me to yield. I smiled calmly. "You're right. The boy was born on the day of his father's wedding. That makes him the eldest grandson of the Meng family. To me, there's no status more fitting than that of the legitimate eldest son." The night sky was clear, stars glittered overhead, and the Meng estate glowed with red silk and lanterns. It should have been a day of joy, my wedding to Meng Siwei. But the mood shattered when a servant burst in with news. "Master, congratulations. Miss Chun, she has given birth to a young master." Her excited voice clashed sharply with the silence in the room. Meng Siwei glanced at me. I loosened my grip on the red-threaded wine cup. It fell and spilled its contents. "Outrageous," he yelled. "A servant's child called young master?" The servant fell to her knees, begging for forgiveness. He poured more wine and offered it to me, but I didn't take the cup. "On the wedding night, and already an heir?" I said coldly. "Aren't you going to meet your son?" Meng Siwei turned pale. He tried to explain, but fell silent under my calm gaze. "I'll take care of it," he promised. Leaving his wine untouched, he placed the cup on the tray and hurried out. The scent of pine vanished with him. "Lead the way," I told the servant still kneeling on the ground. She realized she had been instructed by someone to act. Since the play had begun, I might as well perform my part. "Yes," she whispered and guided me ahead. We entered a secluded courtyard. Many people had already gathered. I heard Meng Siwei's voice. He held the child aloft as if about to slam him to the ground. The maids pleaded with him, terrified he might actually let go. I watched in silence. Suddenly someone shouted, "The lady is here. Help us, madam." Meng Siwei's hand trembled. "Shameless. How dare you give birth without permission? Today, I'll rid our family of disgrace." "Stop!" cried the old madam. "If you harm my grandson, I'll smash my own head." "Let the new wife decide," she added, pulling me forward. "He is your husband's flesh and blood. Now that he's born, give him status." Her words were not a plea, they were a threat. Meng Siwei stood frozen, awaiting my verdict. I looked calmly at the crowd. Born on his father's wedding day, he is the eldest grandson of the Mengs. Naturally, he deserves a legitimate title. "A legitimate heir," he echoed, his face turning pale. The old madam breathed a sigh of relief. The kneeling servant stammered, "Thank you, madam. Chun, she will serve loyally until the end of her days." "Pack my dowry. I'm going home." "Let me explain," Meng Siwei pleaded, grabbing my hand. "Explain." I turned to him. "You want to say the child isn't yours? That neither you nor your mother knew a servant was carrying your child for 10 months? Or are you trying to tell me this was all just a coincidence?" My voice grew colder. "This is nothing less than marriage fraud. A public humiliation of the Liu family. You pretend to shield me, but really, you're just afraid of the consequences. You know no one at my family home will protect me." But they forgot one thing. I'm a merchant's daughter. And merchants don't tolerate losses. I pulled my hand away. Even if he truly didn't know about his mother's scheme, what did it matter to me? The concubine was his. The child was his. "Wait!" shouted the old madam. "If you leave, my son will divorce you. And by morning, the entire capital will know that the daughter of the Liu family was divorced on her wedding night. Your sister's futures will be ruined." I stopped and met her triumphant gaze. She thought she had me trapped. Then let me tell you the truth, she said sharply. Chun, she is no ordinary concubine. She's my niece. Everything was planned from the start. We were just waiting for you to marry into the family. Meng Zewei interrupted her sharply, eager to explain to me, I will not take her as a concubine. If you are unwilling, I can promise never to take a concubine in my life, only you. Things have come to this point, I just ask you to give me one more chance. Afraid I wouldn't believe him, he raised 3 fingers, swearing an oath. I narrowed my eyes, my gaze growing colder. What if I say no? Will you do as your mother says? At this moment, I wanted to test how genuine his feelings for me were. He hesitated for a moment. I smiled. Meng Zewei, you still don't understand me enough. Perhaps once, I had a fleeting affection for this man. But at this moment, I am paying for my past foolishness. But who am I? The best businesswoman in B City. The least afraid of anything is paying the price. When I returned home with the grand procession of my dowry, the Liu family's gates were tightly shut. Nanny went up to knock for a long time, but no one came. Unable to hold back, she cursed. A bunch of good-for-nothings, thinking the young lady is married off. They've become so lazy they can't even watch the door. After cursing, her eyes reddened. I remained clear-headed. Over the years, I followed my uncle, spreading our business all over the B City. My stepmother has always been displeased, blaming me for showing my face in public and bringing shame to the family. And blaming me for not bringing the money I earned back home as tribute. This time, she took advantage of my grandmother's illness, using it as an excuse to manipulate my marriage. She wanted to marry me off as a stepwife to her nephew from her maternal family. Unexpectedly, by a twist of fate, I married the good husband she had chosen for her own daughter. Naturally, she can't tolerate me now. I immediately ordered someone to turn the horse's head to West Street. I knew long ago there was no place for me at home. So I had already purchased a house for myself on West Street, more than one. A house is a home, a place where I can feel at ease. I just didn't expect that the next morning, as Mrs. Meng had said, the whole city was talking about how the Liu family's daughter fainted her mother-in-law on her wedding day and was kicked out of the Meng family on the spot. As for the child, there was no mention. The Liu family also announced to the public that the unfilial daughter Liu Jiwa was no longer related to the Liu family. The city's ladies and noblewomen all took me as a disgrace. The dozen or so shops under my name were all affected. Early in the morning, people kept coming to report. There was a riot at the pastry shop, losses exceeding 100 taels. Several madams came to the store today, claiming our gold hairpins and jade ornaments. We're faulty and demanding refunds, the amount is huge. The cosmetic shop too, some women, unfamiliar faces, just opened their mouths saying our products have issues, threatening to make us compensate. And everyone was at their wits' end. It wasn't just about returning goods or finding fault. Those regular customers, believing the rumors, all turned to other shops. Who dares to buy from a person of bad character, unfilial and unjust? The situation developed so rapidly, it was clear someone was instigating. I was racking my brain for a solution. Meng Zewei came. He didn't mention the child. Nor Chun Hee. With a thin layer of sweat on his forehead, he spoke breathlessly. Do you still remember why you married me in the first place? Could you just continue to use me? I am willing. I frowned and walked past him. Meng Zewei. Do you know how much money I've lost today because of your family affairs? If Meng Zewei hadn't mentioned it, I would have almost forgotten. Not long ago, my grandmother suddenly fell ill and the doctor declared she was nearing her end. But she was only worried about me. Seizing this opportunity, my stepmother wanted to arrange a marriage between me and her widowed nephew. My father, long displeased with me showing my face in public, actually agreed to her scheme. To avoid being manipulated by them and causing harm to my seriously ill grandmother. I hurriedly returned from my grandmother's house upon hearing the news. In a moment of desperation, I recklessly went to find Meng Zewei. Meng Zewei, marry me. The grandfathers of both families were old acquaintances. After his father passed away, my family often helped them. So I was somewhat acquainted with him since childhood. Among the few men I knew, He was the only one I considered a suitable marriage candidate. At that time, he blushed, stammered, and after a long while squeezed out a yes. My anxious heart finally settled when I explained the reason. In business, it's all about trading, so what do you want? As long as I can afford it, it's yours. Since it was a fake marriage, it was best to just talk about money. More straightforward, I had just finished asking. The blush on his face quickly faded. The joy in his eyes turned into a daze. Then he took a few steps forward with emotions in his eyes that I couldn't understand, took my hands and said, if we are talking about a transaction, it should be an equal exchange. If I sincerely wished to marry you, Miss Liu, would you be willing to give your heart in return? If it were anyone else, I would definitely have laughed at him a few times. Facing Meng Ziwei, I couldn't laugh. His serious demeanor pretending to be calm and the unconscious tightening of his grip on my hands made me momentarily dazed. In recent years, I had been secretly supporting his studies. Apart from the friendship between our two families, I also thought he was a decent person. His studies were decent. His character was decent. His looks were decent. As a husband, he should be decent too, right? Perhaps I ran too fast on my way here, disrupting my breath. I heard my heart beat like a drum. For the first time in 20 years, I felt my heart move. As if by a ghostly urge, I fell into his sincere eyes. I'm willing to give it a try, not for my grandmother, nor to deal with my stepmother's schemes. At that moment, I truly wanted to try. What does it feel like to rely on someone? Unfortunately, that fleeting moment of heart movement came quickly and went quickly. I have a way. I can help you. As I impatiently summoned the guards to wave him away, Meng Ziwei hurriedly shouted. The guards stopped and looked at me. Meng Ziwei took the opportunity to break free and rushed in front of me. Now, Yuamat's reputation is damaged, and the Liu family's attitude towards you is all because of our marriage. If you don't mind, I'm willing to do as you initially said, and we can be a fake couple. When your business improves and your grandmother can enjoy her later years in peace. If you want to leave, we can divorce at any time. Seeing my silence, he quickly added another sentence. Or I can write the divorce letter for you first, and you can hold it and leave at any time. What do you think? Okay. This time, I answered quickly. Meng Ziwei didn't expect me to agree so readily. He looked surprised. Immediately, he started writing the divorce letter in the courtyard. With a few strokes, a flowery divorce letter was written. I glanced at it. It was full of affection, expressing reluctance and regret. But once a heart turns cold, it can't be warmed again. I handed the divorce letter indifferently to the nanny behind me. She hesitated, opening her mouth to persuade. I stopped her with a glance. I'll keep the divorce letter. From now on, our marriage bond is over. You can leave. What? I didn't want to deal with his disbelief. I had him thrown out. Then I calmly instructed the stewards behind me. Anyone causing trouble or looting, send them to the authorities and hold them accountable. Those wanting to return jewelry can do so within 3 days. After 3 days, if it's confirmed to be bought in the store, they can return it at a discounted price. As for the cosmetic store, call the doctor from the pharmacy. If it's really an allergy caused by our store's cosmetics, we'll cover the medical expenses. If they insist on making trouble, send them to the authorities, saying someone is trying to extort us. Unless they provide evidence, we'll sue them to the end. In addition, from today, all shops will offer a 10% discount, just to celebrate the Meng family having a legitimate eldest son. Also, find a few storytellers to spread the word about my good stepmother's methods. People don't know the truth. They just love to watch the excitement, standing on the moral high ground to criticize. Instead of arguing, it's better to let them see it all at once. By the way, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. The rapid development of events can't be without someone leading the trouble. Just as well, the money spent on greasing palms at various government offices over the years wasn't wasted. After giving instructions, I was about to write to my uncle, wait, something's wrong. Although Mrs. Meng was the mother of a scholar, she was born into a farming family. And by the time she married into the Meng family, they had already fallen into decline. Even if you add the so-called niece from her maternal family, it might not cause such a big disaster. The Liu family's attitude of kicking someone when they're down was too quick and too harsh. Thinking of this, I doubled the money I was going to give the storyteller. The storyteller, having received the money, told the story with great effort. One incident after another. One case after another. The listeners were filled with righteous indignation. After cursing the stepmother Wang Chuilan, they cursed Mrs. Meng. After cursing Chun Hee, they cursed Meng Zewei. Finally, they even cursed me. Let me tell you, what the storyteller is saying must be because someone paid him. Trying to steal a chicken only to end up losing the rice used to lure it, she didn't even think about it. A mere merchant's daughter, how could the Meng family possibly marry her if it weren't for this incident? Taking advantage and then pretending to be innocent, she's probably just causing a fuss to control the lord in the future. A woman who knows how to do business has many tricks up her sleeve. If I were from the Meng family, I'd leave her hanging for a month or so. Would she really dare to divorce? Everyone said that I married Meng Xiaowei with the intention of climbing up the social ladder. They said I was a lowly merchant girl. Meng Zewei was a distinguished scholar. It seems no one remembers that I was once an official's daughter. After my grandfather passed away, my father didn't pursue an official career, and that's when the Liu family became commoners. Even so, I relied on my own hands to maintain the Liu family's wealth for so many years. In terms of clothing and travel, we didn't lose to when my grandfather was alive. And as for Meng Zewei, all these years, he's also relied on the Liu family, on my support, to achieve today's glory step by step. Everyone lives by their own abilities. I've never demanded any repayment from him, nor have I used this to coerce him into marrying me. How can that be deserved? My nanny heard these words and secretly cried until her eyes were red. Back then, when the madam entrusted you to me, it's all my fault for not protecting you well and letting you suffer such grievances. Nanny, what are you saying? If it weren't for you risking your life to protect me many times when I was young, I don't know what kind of torment I would have endured or how I would have the world I have today. I am truly grateful to her. She was my mother's maid who came along as part of her dowry. Originally, after my mother passed away, she could have returned to my grandfather's house and chosen a decent person to marry. But for my sake, she stayed with the Liu family for over 10 years, never marrying. But seeing you suffer such grievances, I, an old servant, am powerless. As she spoke, tears fell again. I picked up a handkerchief and gently helped her wipe away the tears. But she cried even more heartbrokenly. My young lady is clearly so capable, far more capable than Meng Zewei. How can they slander and harm me like this? Good nanny. I gently hugged her. Let them slander. As long as you know I'm stronger than them, that's enough. I have long known that people only want to believe what they want to believe. If they want to accuse you, they won't worry about the lack of evidence. So that day, I gave new instructions to the managers of U-Mart. Each shop will be equipped with an in-house accountant. If anyone intentionally causes trouble or damage, record it on the spot and demand compensation, absolutely no tolerance. Internally, Walmart will continue to strive for excellence, aiming for the best in food and goods. Externally, once the transaction is completed, Walmart will not accept any returns. Compared to a temporary bad reputation, I care more about Walmart's business. The public was enraged, and Walmart felt like it was being roasted over a fire. I was so busy that my feet barely touched the ground. After dealing with a batch of suppliers trying to take advantage of the situation to raise prices, I was about to rush out the door. Wang Chuilan and my father arrived hand in hand, both with gloomy expressions. My father snorted coldly, unwilling to say much, and sat in the main seat. He always thought I was rebellious, couldn't control me, and looked down on me. Wang Chuilan held a handkerchief and said sarcastically, "Back then, you refused to marry my honest nephew. I thought you aimed high and had climbed to a better branch. But on your wedding day, you were abandoned by your husband's family, bringing shame to your family and burdening your sisters at home. Your father and I have discussed it, and from now on, you should not involve yourself in Walmart's affairs. Apologize properly to the Meng family, and in the future, just focus on being a good wife and mother. Over time, people will naturally forget about these unpleasant matters." I couldn't help but let out a cold laugh. Her abacus beads were practically hitting my face. Ridiculously, my father also had a look of self-righteousness. I sat back down, took a sip of tea, and glanced at her with an extremely cold tone. Yuanmat was founded by me alone. If I don't take charge, should I hand it over to you? Are you worthy? Also, it was the Meng family who wronged us first, humiliating me and the Lu family. If you want to act as an elder and save face, you should go to the Meng family to argue for justice. As for your nephew, if he is so good, why not wait another year? After your daughter comes of age, marry her off, and it would be a marriage within the family, showing outsiders that we know that your Lu family stepmother isn't someone who mistreats stepdaughters and covets others' wealth. I didn't bother with subtlety. I refuted all her thoughts, blocking all her subsequent words. Wang Chuelan's face turned pale. She instinctively looked at my father. His expression changed slightly, but he had no intention of speaking. He always maintained this onlooker's attitude, allowing him to remain perfectly hidden. To this day, no one has said a word against him. I stood up and approached step by step. Back then, you tried to control my marriage while I was away, wanting to marry me off to your useless nephew from your family. If not for my grandmother's poor health, do you think I wouldn't have confronted you by now? Thinking of my seriously ill grandmother made my heart ache. After my mother died, she was both my armor and my weakness. She wanted to see me live well, so I tried hard or pretended to live well. Wang Chuelan's expression was shocked. You. How dare you, I am your mother. Her index finger trembled, almost poking my forehead. I unceremoniously raised my hand and knocked it away, slowly and heavily spitting out a sentence. My mother died long ago. When I was a child and had just lost my mother, I felt insecure for a long time. I often woke up crying in the middle of the night, wanting to find my mother. My father coldly told me, "Your mother died long ago." My mother died long ago, so I became a child without a mother. A child without a mother has no right to cry or make trouble. My nanny could only cover my mouth with tears in her eyes and carry me away. Later, my grandmother took me to her side. Less than a year later, my father remarried and had someone bring me back to the house. The house already has a madam, and the Lu family's child doesn't need outsiders to raise them. But his so-called care was only to provide me with food. Wang Chuelan coveted my mother's dowry and naturally wouldn't treat me well. Those days of relying on others and suffering endless torment, even thinking about them now, still feel suffocating. Wang Chuelan was left speechless. The atmosphere became tense. Only then did my father, who was sitting upright, lift his eyes to glare at me, his tone full of disdain. Sharp-tongued and disrespectful to elders, no wonder your mother-in-law dislikes you soon after your marriage. After all, that's your husband's child, calling you mother. How can you not accept a child? He should have said this earlier. I cast a mocking glance at Wang Chuelan. Seeing her eyes flicker with guilt, I tugged at my lips but said nothing. He continued. It's my fault too, for spoiling you excessively since childhood, leading you to be unruly and lawless. Fortunately, the Meng family is magnanimous. As long as you are willing to admit your mistakes, apologize, and agree to accept that mother and child, they are willing to let bygones be bygones and agree to let you return to the household. I have already agreed on your behalf. Tonight, you will go to the Meng family to apologize. By the end, his tone was indisputable. He had the demeanor of a strict father. With a loud bang, I heavily placed the teacup down. The words were on the tip of my tongue, but I suddenly changed my mind. Spreading my hands. Since it's an apology, there must be sincerity. Now that Yuamat is severely losing money, where will I get the money to show sincerity? Wang Chuelan hurriedly spoke first. How can you not have money? Even if Yuamat doesn't have it, don't think I don't know about your mother's dowry. She was afraid that if she spoke a moment later, father would give me money to help. But how could that be? Meeting my father's instinctively evasive gaze, I kept a cold face and sarcastically curled my lips. I won't touch my mother's dowry. Wait a few days. Once I've resolved the issues with Yuamat, I'll prepare a generous gift to apologize. Only then did he look at me again, pondering for a moment before coldly saying, "Do it quickly. The Meng family intends to hold a full moon banquet for the eldest grandson, requiring the madam to manage it." A child born from a maid concubine dared to have a lavish full moon banquet. I raised an eyebrow, summoning a maid to give a few instructions. She responded with yes and hurriedly left. It was originally an excuse to stall my father. The Meng family got the message. That very night, they sent someone over. It was Nanny Chin, who was close to Ming Zoe's mother and an old acquaintance from the village. She came with several thick lists, holding herself with high regard. The old madam said, "Although you are still reflecting, the little young master's full moon banquet cannot be delayed. You are to prepare 20 tables at the highest standard at Fortune Delight Restaurant. A 2-pound pure gold necklace, a golden-laid jade necklace, 3 pairs of gold bracelets, and 5 bolts of fine silk and satin, all in advance. All the esteemed guests on the list must be invited." In addition to that, the old madam specifically instructed that during the full moon banquet, you must announce the promotion of maid concubine Chun Hee to a concubine. She is credited with bearing a son, and it must be done to the highest standard. Do you understand? The old hag from the mud pit thought entering a wealthy family was like a bird soaring to the top of a tree, displaying her arrogance to the fullest. Just draining money like a leech. Not even considering whether a small infant can bear wearing a 2-pound gold necklace every day. I couldn't even be bothered to give her a glance. Put the things down and get lost. She didn't move. Her greedy eyes were fixed on the jade bracelet on my wrist. It's not right for the madams to not reward some silver after I've made this trip. My gaze turned cold. The maid immediately stepped forward, swinging left and right, giving her 2 heavy slaps. "What kind of filthy thing dares to beg in front of our miss? Get lost." Nanny Chin shrank her neck in fear and turned to flee. When she reached the hall door, she coughed sharply. A thick phlegm landed on the priceless carpet. What kind of nonsense is this? Not even a hardship fee. Just wait, when I return to the Meng family, I'll have my old madam deal with you. The next second, she ran into a wall of flesh. Facing the fierce gaze, her arrogance vanished instantly. "What do you want to do? I am the best friend of Mrs. Meng. If you dare hurt me, she won't let you off." She tried to maintain a calm facade, but her legs shook so much she could barely stand. Without needing me to speak, the servants held her down waiting for my orders. Send her to the head of the Meng family, watch her, and make her repeat what she just said. If she gets a word wrong, slap her. She was just a nanny. I originally didn't want to bother with her. But right now, I have more important things to do. If the Uamat issue isn't resolved, I can't go back to take care of my grandmother with peace of mind. I can't let the Meng family ruin my important matters again. Fortunately, despite the scolding, the common people found out that Uamat was offering a 10% discount. And the quality of gold, silver, and jade items was even better than before. The pastries and snacks seemed bigger, with more generous portions. So while scolding me, they went to Uamat to shop. Didn't they say there's a 10% discount? It's foolish not to take advantage. Let's buy some, she'll earn less, and if we buy in force, it'll bankrupt her, the wicked merchant. Others thought, although they didn't know what was wrong, but somehow felt there was some sense in this. There were a few who weren't swayed and tried to persuade everyone to be rational, but were convinced otherwise by others. If we don't buy now, will we wait a few days to pay full price? Thus, buying is profiting and buy out Uamat, leaving them with nothing to sell spread through the streets and alleys. Uamat's business picked up again. Daily turnover matched 3 to 5 days' worth. Some shops even reached the turnover of 10 days in a single day. When the shopkeepers came to see me, they couldn't suppress the smiles on their faces. "Miss, this move is clever." I thought this hurdle would be hard to overcome. It was difficult. Fortunately, I reacted in time. Mrs. Meng is illiterate. How could she have the mind and means to use me to attack Uamat? I'm afraid someone with ulterior motives is using this to create trouble, achieving an unspeakable secret. I simply went along with it. Everyone only dared to be happy in front of me for a while. Once out the door, back to the shop, they wore expressions of worry that couldn't be dispelled. The more customers there were, the deeper the shopkeepers frowned. The more heartbroken they seemed. As if the next second, Uamat would be losing so much it would have to close its doors. In fact, Now Walmart faced a buying frenzy every time a shop opened. Almost all had to close 1 or 2 hours earlier than usual. Some even opened only 2 or 3 hours a day. Every day I held the ledger, my mood growing heavier. Finally forced to return to the Liu residence with people, not to seek help, but to directly move things. The Liu family's food, clothing, and expenses over the years have relied on me and Walmart. Walmart's accounts have never entered the household ledger, but many things in the house have been bought with my money. Now that Walmart faces a difficult time, I temporarily sell these things. Why not? Wang Chuilan had people try to stop me. But the pampered servants in the mansion couldn't stop the group of strong women I brought. Taking advantage of my father's absence, I picked out valuable items, pointing them out one by one. I named one, they moved one. By the end, 2 full carts. The once splendid mansion immediately dimmed considerably. As I left, I turned my back on the crying Wang Chuilan. Why are you crying? There's still plenty of treasures left in the house, right? Tell my father, once Yuan Mat recovers, I'll bring these things back double. By then, the Meng family will definitely look at our Liu family with admiration. Upon hearing this, Wang Chuilan rolled her eyes and fainted amidst the maiden's cries of alarm. Aside from the Liu family, I paid visits to those elder patriarchs who once prided themselves on their status and received many benefits from me. They didn't even lift an eyelid. Yumat just hit a small bump. I've been in business for years and earned so much silver. Now it's just a minor financial loss. If the elders could lend a little support, it would soon be resolved. These people have always taken without giving back. I won't indulge them any longer. If lending money is out of the question, then all of you should return the wealth and treasures you've taken from me over the years. In addition to the robust matrons and guards, I specifically brought a team to beat drums and gongs, determined to break the pot and throw it away. All these years, I've fed them well, offering treasures and gold, hoping for more autonomy in marriage matters. Although parents' orders and matchmakers' words are important, when the elders speak, even my father has to listen. And the result? Wang Chuilan was deceitful, and these people didn't even utter a word. They assumed that Yuamat, bearing the Liu surname, could be exploited at will. Previously, I had no time to deal with them. Today, I tore away their facade directly. The owner of Yuamat has gone mad. Yuamat is about to go bankrupt. It's more than just bankruptcy. I heard they owe a lot of money. It's likely that the entire Liu family and Meng family can't cover this huge deficit. The common folk have always been quick to believe rumors. After my actions, they were convinced that Weimart couldn't continue its operations. Some even started to sympathize with me. To say, she's a woman who managed to bring business to this level, she has some skill. Indeed, it's the first time I've heard of a woman supporting a large family. It's a pity though. She's still a woman. A woman causing such a disaster, she's likely to be abandoned by her family. No wonder the Meng family was smart enough to expel such a bride earlier. The rumors grew more intense. Although the Liu family once claimed to sever ties with me, they neither removed me from the family registry nor wrote a letter of estrangement, so it's not considered a severed relationship. I had to give them a push. The elders, having lost faith in silver, probably wished to tear the page of the family registry with my name on it. Now that everything was ready, I patiently waited. I didn't wait for anyone from the Liu family, but Meng Ziwei showed up. When I finished handling business matters and returned to the mansion, it was already late. Bathed in moonlight, I happened to see him pacing at the courtyard gate, rubbing his hands. Not knowing how long he had been there, he was covered in frost. Seeing me alight from the carriage, he hurriedly stepped forward and stopped me. "Did something happen to you, Amart? Do you need my help?" After speaking, he realized his mistake and quickly explained, "No, not help. We are husband and wife, your matters are my matters. Today, pack up and return to the mansion with me. I'll personally speak to my mother about it. As for the subsequent matters of Yue Mat, leave them to me." After finishing, he cautiously waited for my answer. Despite feeling extremely tired, I couldn't help but scrutinize him for a long time. After not seeing him for a few days, the worry in his eyes didn't seem fake. Perhaps he's genuinely concerned? But this genuine concern, when faced with his mother, would at least have. And when it involves his newborn son, it would have again. Half and half again. If not aggrieved, it would still be an injustice. I pretended to be puzzled, then suddenly enlightened, explaining, I've been too busy these days. This afternoon, I already sent someone to deliver the divorce papers to the authorities. Now, we are truly no longer husband and wife. Once the divorce papers were submitted to the authorities, there was no turning back. But I also deceived him. I deliberately held on to the divorce papers to stabilize the Liu family. I couldn't spare the time a few days ago, the Liu family. The family publicly claimed to sever ties, but secretly they still wanted to bleed me and Yuamat dry. Not only was Wang Chuilan coveting the business I held, but even my hypocritical and high-minded father wanted to take advantage of my departure from the Meng family to make a move on Yuamat. But he was too greedy, wanting Yuamat and trying to use me to climb up to the Meng family's connections. Meng Zewei's career path was bright, exactly what the Liu family needed. He thought as long as I was on the Liu family genealogy for one day, I could never escape them. Unfortunately, he lost his chance by hesitating. Even if we are not husband and wife, I can help. Let's say I'm repaying a favor. Have you forgotten? You helped me selflessly before. Mang Zewei forced a weak smile, holding a small wooden box and handing it to me. I know you never liked me. You married me out of necessity. But I truly admire you. In the box are all the land deeds and shops of the Meng family. You can use them first. If it's not enough, I'll find a way. The autumn night was cold and I saw a thin layer of frost on his eyebrows. Suddenly, my heart felt clear. I declined his kindness and subtly reminded him, I heard you're hosting a full-month banquet for your eldest son. Such events require money. You should take it back. My mother doesn't understand much about these things, this money. I don't lack money, really. I stuffed the box into his arms and slightly bowed. No matter what happened before, when even my closest people were unwilling to help me, he was willing to offer help in my time of need. I accepted his kindness and should express my gratitude. From now on, we owe each other nothing. Father, upon hearing about my divorce with Meng Zewei, could no longer sit still. Useless thing, I've seen since you were young that you were born to bring harm to the Liu family. This was the first time he openly expressed his malice towards me since I founded Yuamat. His twisted face overlapped with the one that used to scold and beat me when I was a child. But this time, I was no longer afraid. Facing his pressure, I retorted, you reap what you sow. If I'm a bad seed, what does that make you? Previously, he resisted the pressure from the clan elders, waiting for Meng Zewei's stance. As soon as the news came out, he immediately invited the clan elders. All the elders, who had enjoyed my contributions for years, glared at me with anger. They called to open the ancestral hall and expel me from the genealogy. My father wrote the severance letter in front of everyone. He had someone copy it and posted it at the bustling market entrance. Unfilial daughter Liu Zaiwei, defying elders, disrespecting womanly virtues, arrogant and presumptuous. From today on, expelled from the Liu family, stripped of the surname, and regardless of life or death, has no connection with the Liu family. A thick pile, said to be 3 pages full of curses against me. It seemed like years of anger were all poured onto those 3 pages. I only glanced at it to confirm it was the severance letter, then asked my nanny to put it away. She was eager to tear those sheets apart, but I stopped her. These cannot be torn. If anyone wants to shamelessly go back on their word in the future, we have evidence. Her expression paused, then quickly turned to joy. Miss is right. Let's keep them. I will definitely keep them well. Now everyone thinks I'm completely finished, just waiting to see me become a laughingstock. They want to see how a woman, abandoned by both her husbands and her own family, falls from grace. To see how I, the remarkable woman of the Beast City, will crash and burn. But the next day, Walmart continued to operate as usual. Not only that, but overnight, 20 new Walmart stores opened in the neighboring city. I had deliberately held back my father just to prepare for these things. After passing through mountains and rivers, the light shines through the willows. Now, completely free from the Liu family, I can finally expand Walmart boldly and make it stronger. Armis said, to celebrate the opening of the new stores, all UA Mart locations will offer a 15% discount for 5 days only. After 5 days, prices will return to normal. The staff shouted, and everyone was busy shopping. No one had time to gossip about whether the Liu family wrote the letter of deasement too early, or if the Meng family misjudged the situation. Fortunately, UA Mart was well prepared this time, with each store well stocked, making a huge profit. After 5 days, everything returned to normal. Although prices were back to normal, due to Amar's quality and popularity, business was still good. After finishing everything, I hurried to my uncle's house without stopping. At this moment, my heart longed to return, eager to know how my grandmother was doing now. As soon as we met, I was severely scolded. "You child, such a big matter, and you didn't even discuss it with me." I felt a bit guilty. "Didn't I write you a letter? You still have the nerve to argue?" My uncle glared at me, scolding me from head to toe. "Was that a discussion? That was a notification. And you specifically said not to let your grandmother know. Your grandmother wasn't disturbed, but do you know how worried I've been these days? If something happened to you, how would I explain it to your grandmother and your mother?" As he spoke, his eyes turned red. On one hand, he had to take care of our seriously ill grandmother. And on the other, he was worried about my situation. No wonder he looked so much thinner. But this was something we had discussed long ago. Although my uncle taught me how to do business, I was still a daughter of the Liu family. From the first time Wang Chuilan tried to take you a mark from me, and my father tacitly approved, I had already planned for this day. I just didn't expect that Wang Chuilan, a mere stepmother, would dare to meddle in my marriage. Such a despicable person, yet my father didn't oppose her. I had to make a decisive response. Who knew that marrying Meng Ziwei was also a mistake? A dignified scholar, yet he was repeatedly manipulated by an illiterate peasant woman, dragging me into the mess as well. Annoyed as I was, I simply turned the tables. At that time, I was forced by circumstances, and I had no choice, I said, lowering my eyes. No matter how justified my explanation, faced with my family's tears, I lost my momentum. So, I voluntarily accepted punishment. 10 days later, the Meng family sent an invitation. It was for the full moon banquet of the Meng family's eldest son, inviting me to attend. The handwriting on the invitation was not Meng Ziwei's. Previously, he had helplessly explained to me, "My mother comes from a farming family and doesn't understand the rules and etiquette of high society." I was kept in the dark about the child, and as for the full moon banquet, it's naturally impossible. High society doesn't just care about matching social status. Although a master can have a maid concubine before marrying the main wife, a maid concubine and a concubine are different. For the Meng family to have a maid concubine give birth on the day the main wife enters the house is not only an insult to the main wife, but also to her family, let alone holding a full moon banquet for the child. Yet, at that time, my father and Wang Chuilan both wanted to kick me while I was down, seizing the opportunity to take Yuamat from me. This led Mrs. Meng to misjudge the situation. Not only did she want to hold a full moon banquet, but it was also rumored that she wanted to find a match for Meng Ziwei at the banquet, and Meng Ziwei's compromise seemed expected. When other families have such issues, they try to cover it up tightly. But the Meng family, on the other hand, seems eager to announce it to the world with drums and gongs. "How interesting," my uncle coldly snorted, sarcastically commenting as he saw me staring at the invitation. I seriously agreed, yes. Fortunately, I cut my losses in time and divorced early. Relieved, yet a bit regretful. My uncle flicked my forehead. "You still have the nerve to say that. You're not allowed to attend the full moon banquet. Stay away from the Meng family and Meng Ziwei in the future, understand?" My uncle, still worried, emphasized again. "Of course, I never planned to go. Now, I just want to spend more time talking with my grandmother." Casually, I threw the invitation into the fireplace. Grabbing the cloak, I walked out of the warm study. Braving the cold wind, I quickly made my way to my grandmother's courtyard. Nowadays, she doesn't have much time awake each day, yet I have endless things to say. Fortunately, UMR no longer has those troublesome people eyeing it. I can also spare time to take care of my grandmother. After some time, News came from B City. The Liu family had fallen, and my father led a group to block the entrance of the largest U-Mart treasure pavilion, demanding money. I am the father of your owner. I gave birth to her and raised her. She should give me money to show filial piety. When no one paid him any mind, he tried to rob the store. Stopped by the shop assistants, he fell to the ground, pretending to cry for help. In the end, the shopkeeper directly called for the authorities. After all, he is your biological father. How should we handle this? Please instruct us, miss. Seeing the shopkeeper's letter, I almost laughed. He was determined to sever ties with me back then, and now he's my biological father? With a swift stroke, I instructed the shopkeeper to handle it as he saw fit. The severance letter had spread throughout B City. Even if it went to court, I wasn't afraid. Later, the shopkeeper claimed compensation for damaged goods, demanding a high price. The Liu family couldn't afford to pay and ended up in prison. The shopkeeper deliberately shouted all the way. Back then, the Liu family feared being implicated when Walmart was in trouble, so they expelled Miss from the family tree. Now they claim to be our Mrs. biological father. With such thick skin, why not go repair the Great Wall? Spectators gathered in circles. The rest of the Liu family left in disgrace. Later, I heard that Wang Chuilan sold off the remaining possessions to escape but was caught by my father, who had just been released. In the struggle, he fell into the river. By the time he was rescued, he was already swollen. Wang Chuilan was charged with murdering her husband and sentenced to hanging. The once grand Liu family fell overnight. It was truly lamentable. 3 years later, Uamart grew bigger and bigger. After my grandmother passed away, I moved from my uncle's house to the one next door. Later, I moved to the capital. My uncle said I was born with a knack for business. Beneath the emperor's feet, where every inch of land is worth gold, luxury, and decadence abound. Yet it made me miss the beauty of Southern City even more. Thus, Uamart's shops expanded further south. 5 years later, a female tycoon emerged in Southern City. Overnight, women in B City began learning to do business. Previously confined to the inner chambers, women bravely stepped out one by one. Some even blamed their husbands for their business failures and brazenly divorced them. They boldly proclaimed, "The owner of UA Mart nearly lost everything back then. It was only after separating that she revived and expanded her business." They seemed to imitate, but did not understand the true essence of doing business. In the end, they lost everything and wanted to return to the inner chambers, but their husbands refused to take them back. Thus, a group of destitute women cursed me daily for ruining their families and destroying their happiness. Some envied, but dared not take a step forward, only sighing repeatedly within their boudoirs. Not everyone can be like the owner of Uamart, seizing the right moment. Miss Meng purely had good luck. My nanny heard this and was again exasperated. She couldn't help but angrily